Hey there, I'm Sean, and you're listening to episode number 55 of Just Chillin'. I messed up the order, and now I don't know how to transition to Andy. I'm Sean Hoffman. How's it going?
And I'm your other host, Andy Bell.
I
And
was
we're
like,
back.
I'm like, this is gonna work. I'm gonna mix it up, and it's like, shit, I don't know how to hand it over to him. No.
uh, how are you, buddy? Long time no speak.
Oh man, I'm doing all right. We're still over here on the East Coast. We're flying back in just a couple days, but things have been good. Things have been good. The weather's been holding out. Um, been able to catch up on some shows, catch up on some podcasts, catch up on some news.
Nice.
And mostly it's been Madison and I kind of acting like Neo from the Matrix, like dodging all of the sicknesses that are going around right now.
Yeah.
It is insane. Just, I mean, obviously, the stuff that kind of events that we've been to over the last couple weeks, and it's just, if it's not norovirus, it's the flu, or it's walking pneumonia, or it's this other stuff. It's like, yeah, just dodging bullets left and right in terms of, it's like not wanting to get, and it's knocking people down for the count. So, not a fan, but we've been doing well. Fingers crossed, we haven't gotten sick.
You got
And
away with it so far.
I mean, maybe a little bit of crud here and there, but nothing too bad. But yeah, knock on wood, we're doing all right. I am broadcasting from a bed in a spare bedroom, so I'm gonna try not to ruffle around too much since I don't have a desk. So if anybody hears that, I apologize. But yeah, dude, we're good.
Excellent. So, yeah, no. My last couple of weeks has been the same old for the last couple of months. So going through some treatment,
Yeah,
which has given me an opportunity to catch up on a heck of a lot of stuff, which I'm really, 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 really looking forward to talking you through. What have we been up to the last couple of weeks? So outside of the treatment side of things, I watched Skeleton Crew for what must be there. Oh, good God. The sixth time now. But the finale in particular, because I wanted to, if you remember that my daughter, Abby, the youngest, went back to work before we were able to finish up
yeah.
our watching. So, she said, "Dad, I'm not going to watch it without you," which was cool. And so I watched this finale for the last two episodes for it's got to be sixth time, which I thoroughly enjoyed, as you'd expect. And yeah, that was so. My experience, my Skeleton Crew. I can finally say I can close the book that is my Skeleton Crew experience, and it's been a fun old time, especially enjoying it with Abby as well. And as a result of that, I did do a little bit of spending, and I ended up with a few things like a Funko meal and a few other things, just a reminder of the experience. So
Nice.
good fun. This week, over the last week as well, I was kindly invited to join the Star Wars Spelt Out guys to review the season of Skeleton Crew again.
The resident expert.
I promise you, the book is closed. I promise you. I'm not going to mention it again. So I joined those guys. I was able to. It didn't coincide with any appointment that I had or anything like that. So I was very lucky to. The stars aligned, and I was able to join those guys. And we talked about we reviewed, our general thoughts of Skeleton Crew. So I implore everyone to check that out on Star Wars Spelled Out. That was the last episode that Josh released. And then this week, last Friday, I joined Catherine Neen of that Geek Pod to discuss episode 7 of Andor. She's doing a recap of Andor by chunk or by arc. And she's got a very unique way of seeing the chunks of the order of the season, which I find quite interesting because it does actually make sense. Rather than 3-3-3-3, she kind of treats it a very, very different way in that she'll use a bridging episode like episode 7, which was called The Announcement. And she used that as a bridging episode to basically cover 2 separate 3-episode arcs, which I actually quite like her theory behind it. Anyway, she's doing a really extensive job covering Andor as a precursor to season 2, which of course is coming out in 77, I think, 76 days, something like that now. So, and she's got various people joining her in that journey. And I was very fortunate enough to join her for episode 7. I have to say, I didn't realize that we could keep talking for an hour and 45 on one single episode, but we did.
I don't know why that surprises you.
Well, I guess A, it's me, and B, I didn't and you know I like to talk, but B, it's Catherine. Gosh, she did her homework. She went into some extremely extensive detail.
She's a proper podcaster there.
Oh man. I mean, she puts us to shame. She's really, really good. So I recommend anyone that can listen to an hour and 45 of us talking episode 7. Again, please check it out on that Goodpod. And then lastly, I've been spending money.
Nice.
I've been in and out of hospital with tests and everything, so I've just been buying a lot more unofficial Star Wars clothing over the last couple of weeks or so. There's a company that I've found on Etsy that do an awful lot of unofficial Star Wars merch, which kind of their parody. It's kind of like parody prints. They're parody prints, and they're just, but they're done quite tastefully. And I kind of like their stuff. So what started out being, I'll buy a few shirts, has turned into a frenzy where I'm buying hoodies now and I'm buying everything else from them as well to kind of service my journey in and out of hospital. So so I've been spending a bit of money there as well. And
nice.
Really that's been the last couple of weeks, mate. It's been
sorry. I saw a picture that you sent of something that you received. Are you saving that for a future section, or does that go here?
Something I received.
I think something you received from somebody, something that somebody maybe made. I think it was. Dude, I could be losing my mind. Hold on.
Oh goodness me! Oh goodness me! No! You're absolutely right. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I forgot all about that. And Chloe, if you're listening, I love you with all my heart, and I'm so sorry for forgetting. My daughter, who is already an avid cross stitcher and knitting guru. It's her way of it's her thing. It's her way of relaxing.
Yeah.
She knitted me a jumper, which I will send you actually so that we can stick it into. We can stick it on the website. But
yes.
she's very, very good, and she knitted a jumper for me, a Star Wars themed, of course, featuring our 2 favorite droids on each arm, so R2 and 3PO on each arm, and a squadron of X-Wing fighters across the breast. But she's
it's sick. It's really cool.
Yeah. I'm really happy with it, and it's oversized as well, so it's good for me because I like an oversized, baggy, gnarly jumper. So it's really, really cool. And I couldn't be. I mean, hey, my daughters have been amazing, and it's just another reason to love them even more. So Yeah, that was something that, oh, goodness me, I forgot. Oh, it's going to kill me. Oh, God.
So
Anyway,
you're saving it for the consuming.
I
You
was
were saving
saving
it
up.
there.
I was saving
Yeah.
up. That's for sure. That's for
Yeah.
sure. But yeah, no, that's been the last couple of weeks. It's been a fun old time. It's been a fun old time. So, mate, buddy, did you being being that I've kind of spent a lot of time, should we say, in a horizontal position in the last week or so. I've been able to do. I picked up a few things in the news that I found quite interesting. But before I go, what about yourself, Matt?
I think the one that's like when I consume news, it's like it always seems like whatever's the most recent thing that's on my mind is the only thing I can think about.
Yeah,
And then it's like this my stack size is one there. And so I've been hung up on the Fantastic Four trailer. Like I haven't watched. I know they're doing like a media blitz right now because I keep seeing it everywhere. So I haven't watched any of that stuff, but I did watch the teaser and then kind of the little teaser 2.0, whatever, first look stuff. And I have been I'm ready for it. I love the look. I love the
yeah,
feel. Like I don't know. I like the people that are in it. I think they're cool. I'm excited to see some of the other characters, the other people that they cast as the other characters. I don't know, dude. Like I'm ready for some like I think because I've been keeping up with the Marvel stuff and like recent like a couple weeks ago we talked about how I was catching up on some shows that I hadn't watched. I'm like, dude, I'm ready. I'm ready for it to like come back and for this stuff to kind of get back into swing again.
it looks tight. It looks really, really tight.
Yeah,
I'm. I mean, we talk about that kind of futuristic past, or I'd certainly talk about that futuristic past
yeah,
being an aesthetic that I really, really like, and it looks crazy good, really, really good. I mean, it's straight out of the page. It really,
yeah. Well, I think it's only gonna look better too because I know like there was parts of those like those kind of teasers, whatever you want to call them, that every time one comes around, you you can tell that it's like not finished, fully
yeah,
finished, and that's like you start to be able to pick up on some of the pieces. It's like, oh, it's not done, and I bet this is gonna just like you can see the parts that are gonna get better polish and stuff, and I think it's gonna be phenomenal. I love the style. I love the way they're doing the camera work, kind of emulating that 60s kind of vibe, the Bakelite kind of look.
yeah, yeah.
Just dude, it's gonna be awesome. I like how they did the thing like the comic book style,
Yes,
like how they so excited for
yes,
this.
yes, yes. And I will. I don't want to talk about the negative stuff, but I have seen some negative stuff about the way the aesthetics of the thing.
Yeah,
And that says to me that they those kind of folk haven't actually seen the comic because
yeah,
I would say of all three films, or all four films if you include the sequel to the first one, he looks more like he looks more like the Thing
mm,
than any other. I guess one of the things that is throwing people a little bit is he's wearing the full bodysuit, but I've got no worries with that, and I'm sure at some point he'll end up in the spandex pants and look like the thing that we know.
yeah.
Um,
It's only the teaser trailer. Yeah, it'll all of it's gonna be different.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I think it's on point. I really do. I'm looking forward to it.
Other other than that, I mean, I know there's some news items that you kind of mentioned, but I'll let you save those. Um, what else? I know there's something, but I don't remember. I'll remember it like I always do because I didn't take notes like I should have. I
Ah,
don't think I did.
well, the only thing I picked up on, I mean, sorry, there are a few things I picked up on. First being that Buffy the Vampire, the sequel series starring Sarah Michelle Gellar, is in the works,
Oh my
which is
god.
real interesting. I think there's a lot of people we know that will be stoked for that. Very, very stoked for that. Interestingly, Joss Whedon isn't involved, which I think is
A good call.
a good call. Exactly, I was going to say is the right thing. But getting that team back together, awesome, man, absolutely awesome. Sprinkle it with a little bit of nostalgia, but something that's fresh for this day and age. Yeah, I'm down for a little bit of Buffy. The next one is
That was part of my formative years. Let me tell you what. Ooh.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Damn it, Christmas.
Yeah, I'm sure, dude. I'm sure.
That's all I'm gonna say. It's just like, woo. I'll see that. I'll watch that for sure.
Yeah. The next one is interesting, and I'm just interested to know your thoughts on this. Oscar Isaac confirmed this week for Star Wars Celebrations Japan.
I like to hear that.
What's your take?
I mean, the low-hanging fruit is that's not the main point, but if they're going to keep sprinkling in celebrities as they go along. This is normal. We're all used to this. The stuff that the meat on that bone is, they don't just, Oscar Isaac is not, he is big enough that he doesn't need to be there just to get autographs and stuff.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it goes without saying. I think my prediction is he's going to be there and be on stage to talk about something.
You think he's there for his non-experimental?
Yeah, I think, and I don't think you bring somebody of his star power that he has he's still pretty hot. You don't bring him on stage to talk about, when The Force Awakens came out 10 years ago and yada, yada, yada. Look back. No, this is, I could be wrong. I am frequently. But I think they're bringing him to be part of an announcement or to something bigger.
I'd agree with that. In fact, in my notes, I've kind of got it that as he signed on for the Rey movie, is he, supposedly Rogue Squadron's still somewhere in the ether. I doubt it very much, but it's somewhere. But I suspect the guy signed on for the Rey movie.
Was the Rogue Squadron movie, was that confirmed for a specific time period? Was that going to be
in it?
Or was it just going to be, we're going to do a Rogue Squadron movie? It could be New Republic, it could be Mandoverse, it could have even been X-Wings, Red 5 and all them.
I don't think it was, and I think that it was just literally coined as Top Gun in space. That was it. That's all we got. I mean, I don't know. I mean, would you have? I mean, he's got the star power to have a standalone movie. He's certainly got the star power for that. But don't know, dude. Don't know. We should see. But it's interesting. It's you're certainly, now that your it seems to be that your itinerary is starting to get filled up now. I think this is the start of it. Do you?
And we still got time. We still have time for some other names to get dropped. I do think there's going to be some that they don't announce. Personally, I don't think John Boyega will be announced if he's going. I think that will be a curtain reveal, like they have Daisy out there talking about something, and then you know how they do it. They're like, "And who we got coming out next?" And then people are gonna just lose their effing minds.
Yeah,
because I think if you announce him, then it is obvious. It's well, why are they all coming back? They're not going to come back for a 10-year round table.
No.
So
no,
it'll be interesting.
It will be 10 years as well, won't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're bound to get a special. Yeah, you're gonna get a special event for that.
An 11x17 poster, hopefully.
Yeah. Next piece of news is not so great. Variety reported that Disney Plus have lost 700,000 subscribers over the last year. That's a lot of subscribers that have left. I guess when you count subscribers by the millions, it's not that huge, but it seems big to me.
Across
I
what
don't know.
demographic? Across, is that across like globally?
I
Like
don't know.
across all of
I
their?
think it's global. I think it's global, in which case it could well be a rounding error. It's all I know is that again, it's me skimming the surface of the variety news, but yeah, I lost 700,000 subscribers, which it's all about the content, man. And
Well, that's the thing. It's like, this isn't stuff. So you know my like aversion to these kind of like how far my eyes roll to the back of my head when people are starting talking about like Nielsen ratings and stuff. But it's like stuff like this. It's like Disney didn't find out from Variety. Like we know that they're like, Variety doesn't release those numbers, and Disney goes, whoa, wait a minute. So they've known whatever these numbers are. They've known for a long time, for a whole quarter. And this is stuff that they project and they account for. So we're getting this news, in my opinion, probably 3 to 6 months late. Like, they knew this was happening. But it also, I'm curious of what, like, you and I both know that it only matters in relation to what your like CapEx is and like what other people's numbers are. Like, did Netflix get 700,000 more members? Because I'll tell you now, I've canceled in the last 3 months, and I'm usually the person who's like, all that stuff just ride because I don't want to deal with canceling it. I've been canceling memberships left and right. Like, it's just, it's not necessarily because of the content. Like, it is a little bit of the content, but it's like, it's different times right now. And like, I'll ramp it back up, and like, it's a different kind of model than before. Like, I canceled just 5 days ago, I canceled my Amazon Prime membership, and I think I've been a member since it started. Like, I mean, my purchases go all the way back to like 2006. So I finally let that answer. So it's like, it's just a different time. And I think, I hope they're still going to create content. Maybe though, we won't get the huge acolyte level budgets or anything like that. But I mean, they have to keep creating content though.
And retaining it. I mean, I was talking to when I was on the Star Wars Spelled Out, podcast. We were talking a little bit about subscribers and the idea of kind of losing of not only budgeting when it comes down to new content, but retaining existing content. I mean, subscription services like Netflix, like Disney Plus, not only are they there to promote new content, they're also there as a library of existing content. And I'll never ever get over the way that they axed Willow so damn quickly. I'll never really understand that. Residuals, yeah, sure, but you're not talking about, with respect, you're not talking about AAA actors that would have a particularly amazing contract out of it. I guess the writing credits and the creators may well have more equity in the series, but
it's a write-off. If you write it off completely, then you can write off the entire production for your taxes.
Yeah. It's disappointing. The last bit of news I wanted to talk to you about independently later on because of your expertise, your experience around Disney parks. I wanted to use the last bit of news that I picked on as, if you like, because we have a quiet week. There's not a lot going on in Star Wars news. There's not a lot going on in news in general. But because we do have a quiet week this week, I was wondering if we could spend a little bit of time on the last bit of news a little bit later on. So I'm gonna put a pin in that, and then just move over to what you've been consuming. All of these things that now that things have somewhat settled down for you in the last week or so, what have you been catching up on?
So the big thing that I caught up on that I committed to was I caught up on Severance, but not just that. It's being here at back home and stuff. It's hard to just watch stuff on the television if like my mom hasn't seen it. So I rewatched all of season 1
Wow.
with her, and then we got Madison on board, and then we blasted through the first 3 episodes of season 2. And I'll be honest, I thought I was ready to just jump straight into season 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really happy that I rewatched season 1. There was...
I wish I had.
There's so much I forgot. Yeah.
I am so confused.
It was a good rewatch. So if you have the time, I would encourage it. And it's not that long. There's only 9 episodes.
Right.
And I think it's better. It's something I wish I would have watched a second time the first time I watched it. But I think I was so pissed. I'm like, I'm ready for season 2. What's happening?
Right.
There's so much more you pick up on, and like you're not just overwhelmed by some of the creepiness of it.
Yeah.
Like you could see more nuance and things. It's like we're rewatching. I mean, you watch Skeleton Crew 9 times, so I think you I'm preaching to the choir here. Yeah, I caught up on that, man. And
how are you finding it? How are you finding it? Because I mean, I love the weirdness that is Severance. I love it.
I love it. It reminds me of Lost, obviously. Where there's times where I'm like, is this even gonna matter? What's the smoke? Where's the smoke monster? But no, for season 2, I'm almost glad I waited until right now to do it, because I think I would have had a bad taste in my mouth very ever so slightly if I've only would have seen like the first episode, the first season 2, episode 1.
Sure.
Because it was just so like, I never like it when they do like a season cliffhanger, something big's about to happen, and then like the very first episode, it feels like the whole thing was undone.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, none of it mattered. But then as you see, like, because I'm impatient, like most of us iPad kids these days. I'm not an iPad kid, but episode 2 and episode 3 are like give you more context. Like, oh, it's not all undone. There's still stuff going on. But no, dude, I'm digging it. Like it's such a well done show.
Yes.
And the acting is just unreal. How good they are. Patricia Arquette deserves. That's her name, right? I feel like I'm saying that name wrong.
Yeah.
But Patricia Arquette, right. She deserves whatever award would go to this kind of show, like for best acting. Like it's so real. You almost feel like it's just who she is.
She's raw.
Oh,
yeah, it's for sure.
And I love that they don't fall into, like, I'm kind of purposely avoiding things in case people want to just hear a little bit about it without going too deep in. But I like that it doesn't seem to go down those tropes of like, I think what kind of grates me so much about like some of the Filoni stuff or some of the other shows that are coming out these days, where it's like they dive too deep into every little thing having meaning, and and they give you like an immediate return on your investment of like, oh, what does that mean? And then here's the answer, and then here's the answer. It's like, no, they just let it flow and they let it be weird. And there's some stuff that like, yeah, you're not going to get an answer on that yet because we're going. I don't know. It's just it's more of the natural flow of the story. I'm really liking it. I'm liking some of the new people that they've introduced in season 2. Yeah, dude. What are you? I'm rambling. What are your season 2 thoughts?
Well, season 2, Gwendolyn Christie introduced into episode 3. That was without giving, we'll try and be spoiler free for those that haven't seen it yet. But yeah, Gwendolyn Christie, she's introduced into episode 3, and she plays a character that is ever so slightly unhinged.
Yeah.
And all of that, the purpose of her role and her colleagues' role in the organization, I have no idea what they're doing. I have absolutely zero idea what they're doing, and I'm loving every second of it. No, I'm loving the show. I'm loving the show. It's my kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's really my kind of weird, which I really appreciate. The acting is phenomenal. The production values are phenomenal. The emotional, the emotional investment I have in the show is high. And I'm looking forward to to finding out just what on earth is going on. I kind of understand the baseline parameters. I understand what the ultimately what the goal is essentially, spoilers if you haven't seen season one, is our hero's wife alive or not? I'm not giving away for season two. That was very much season one. If you haven't seen it by now, then what are you doing? But the main premise being that he's trying to find out if his wife is still alive. But everything that's kind of driving that narrative, driving that story, is so insane.
Yeah.
And you don't know how does it serve the narrative? What's it got to do with the objective? And I love that. I absolutely love that kind of weird.
Well, it's a genius concept. It's like, so for if you're not familiar with Severance, the gist, so to my point, the reason I think it's such a genius thing is, like, I love when stories can find like a storytelling trope or like some kind of new mechanic that you haven't seen before that makes some of the common sense stuff, like, puts a barrier between like common sense storytelling.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so yeah, when there's certain people that are called severed, when they go to work, you go down the elevator and, like, it's like two versions of you. Your work version has no memories of who you are. You still know things, like, that people work, how to walk, talk, do all that stuff. It's just like your identity, like your sense of self and whatever. It's like you're a fundamentally different person. You don't know anything about family, whatever. And then you go back up the elevator and then you convert back to this. And so there's no connective tissue between either one. But this person their only memories are being at work. It's a totally different person. And so, like, they go into the elevator at the end of the day and they come back, the elevator door opens back up and they come back into work. They don't sleep. They don't anything like that. And so and there's no way for them to, like, communicate up and down with their other person because they don't let that happen. You can't bring, like, letters into the elevator because there's detectors that, like, even if you consume, like, it's just very funny of, like, oh, what would you do if you needed to communicate with the other version of you and they have restrictions that don't let you do that? Like, how would that work? There's just some really genius, everything with Helly, I think, is, like, when that was revealed, season one, I'm like, chef's kiss.
Yeah.
I love every minute of it. It all makes so much sense. If you're not watching it, God, please watch it. Binge it, like, this weekend, and then come join us for next week. There's something. Well, what was I gonna say about season two? Season two is very interesting because obviously you're picking up on what you were talking about a minute ago about, like, is his wife alive? But they've also introduced, like, we're into spoilers.
Okay.
That Mark is important. Like, he is Mark S is critical.
Yeah.
To something. And that's, everybody who listens knows my favorite thing to do is a little cockadoodie speculating. So it's like, what are they doing? What are they doing down there? Like there is the clear connotations of if you have a severed workforce, you basically got free slave labor, like of doing whatever the hell you want. Like there's no workplace anything. It's just you can do whatever the hell you want. But then it's like, oh, but you always felt like there was something else going on, and with his wife and with Mark and the things that they're doing, oh, that's not the real work. There's something else going on there. And I'm curious if you have thoughts of what that might be.
I have no idea. I know it has something to do with you. I mean, it's something to do with him because Patricia Arquette's character is hell bent on finishing the work that she's doing through Mark. So I've got no idea.
I think
bearing in mind, the task that they do, the job they do, I don't really understand it. If I'm perfectly honest with you,
the scary numbers.
Yeah, they're collecting the numbers and putting them in a file, and that is his job. That is his work. When they actually sit on their ass and then actually get some work done, seems to spend a lot of time drinking coffee. But anyway,
you've worked in an office. You know.
Yeah.
Like
open plan
accurate.
Office. It's an open plan office for sure.
Yeah,
that's for sure. Yeah, but yeah, no, he is important. Whatever he's doing, he's close to it, and he's close to achieving what she is looking for, and I don't know what that means. If it's proving a theorem, if it's I have no idea, but it's intriguing. But you're absolutely right.
My cockadoodie speculating is that it has it has taken a weird, almost borderline religious turn.
Yes,
like, even harder than it was previous. Like,
yes,
especially with the haircuts of some people, it's like, oh, is this very stereotypically like religious cult kind of territory? I think my prediction is I wonder if it has something to do with like life extension or like life preservation for people. Like, how alive is his wife? Because Mrs. Cobell, Patricia Arquette, like she always looks at that like breathing hose, like she carries that thing with her with a name on it, but I don't think it's hers. I don't think maybe it's from her when she was a kid, or she had a kid, and like I wonder if they're doing some kind of experimentation of like life extension and how that can engage with people who are still alive, like Mark,
which will play into the founders, right? Which will play into that theory of the founders.
The founder that never dies, because they're always and they want to sever everybody because they're like, oh, they've said that in their little chant meetings. They're like, we really want to get out there and have everybody be severed, to almost be like an alternate reality and automated kind of stuff. It's wild. If people are still listening and they've never watched this show, they're like, what the fuck are they talking about?
Yeah. No, it's great. It really is great. Like I said, it's my kind of weird, and it's when there's some good stuff out there at the moment, but it's relatively safe.
Mm-hmm.
I like a little bit of risk like this. It's good fun, really good fun. Again, Apple TV, killing it, absolutely killing it.
They just need to figure out that advertising thing. It's
crazy, isn't it? Absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
What else, dude?
We've been continuing with a little King of the Hill rewatches. Still funnier than hell. I can't believe I haven't rewatched that show sooner. What else? My access to my movies at home went down while I've been remote, and so I've been very distraught about that. But that'll hopefully get resolved this weekend. Outside of that, dude, it's been mostly. I tried to get him to watch Blitz the other day.
Oh yeah.
And everybody looked at me with dead eyes, and they're just like,
"It is heavy going."
They're like, "It's 2 hours long." I'm like, "Then what do you want to watch?" And they're like, "How about we look at Antique?" depression glass videos on YouTube. It's like, whatever. All right, we can do that. We can watch funny cat videos. And
in defense of your family, it is heavy going, man. It's a hard watch because some of the insight or some of the insight that they give in the, should we say, more shadier or underground world of London during the Second World War is not pleasant.
They wouldn't watch anyways. They would have just been on their iPads.
Gnarly. Okay.
They'd be playing solitaire and stuff and be like, who's that person? What are they doing? It's like, pay attention. I've been catching up on pods and stuff though. Besides that, just really trying to catch up on a lot of that stuff. And I've got an exciting project coming up that I can't really talk about yet, but it should be ready by next week though. So hold on for that. Not too exciting. Like, let's temper expectations. Like I'm not in Star Wars, so
no.
Well,
no. Yes.
Scale that back. Yeah.
Yet. Give it time. Give it time.
Sever me and put me in Star Wars, please.
So, I done a bit of reading. Been again spending money.
Yes.
There's a season of there's a series of Blade Runner graphic novels that I'm getting quite addicted with. It follows a particular Blade Runner, female Blade Runner, over several decades, and I bought the latest three book box set of that, and I'm getting through that as we speak, which is cool because I'm very, very, very heavily getting back into my graphic novels. Playing a little bit of Mad Max and Hogwarts Legacy on the Steam Deck, but I must admit I'm not doing it with earnest. I need to get back into it because I really want to finish Mad Max. Having played that game on the console, I loved it. I absolutely loved it, and I need to kind of get my groove back and start playing it a little bit more. Still listening to all my favorite pods from my favorite creators, and many of which are our friends. Still, in particular, loving Going Rogue. I've nearly finished the lot now because I don't think she's launched. I don't think she's released any for quite a while now. So I've nearly finished that.
Dude, I don't know if you listened to the latest Blue Harvest or maybe it was 2 ago. I'm smashing through all of them, but like I think you deserve credit for the credit that I got through the Blue Harvest Patreon because I mentioned Going Rogue, and then it's like spreading like wildfire.
Oh wow!
And people, I think it was Sam. Sam was like, "Oh man, Sean talked about it on the Patreon, and I that's incredible." I'm like,
"Oh wow!" Oh, cool.
And Andy mentioned it, and it just spreading. It's a killer podcast.
Excellent. I wish you'd release some new content. It's not a lot there. There's not a lot there. So that's kind of like listening, reading, and playing. Still watching Black Sails, Deadwood, and I need to catch up on Dune Prophecy. I haven't watched that one for a while now. It's definitely on the list as a priority. And I need to catch up on that as soon as possible. However, I have been watching quite a few new things. I finished watching Shrinking. So Shrinking, again, Apple TV, finished season 2. Really, really good stuff. It actually, it kind of leaves it hanging as to whether there's going to be a season 3 or not. I haven't checked. I'm assuming there will be, but it's a very, 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 very good finale.
Nice.
Finished Rogue Heroes, which was I think I told you last time, the story of the SAS, which isn't a particularly a particularly juicy subject that I was particularly into knowing more about. But it's written by the same guys that did Peaky Blinders. So hence the reason why I got into that. Finished the game show The Traitors. Again, that's a game show in the UK, which is also available in the US as well, whereby it's kind of like basically a game show where think of Survivor, anything like that. It's another one of those. What else is there? Oh, and then I went on a rampage. I went on a rampage to just kind of I don't know, just a case of what's in the library at the moment of I think I was messing around with Prime, and I was messing around with Netflix over a period of a week or so, and just watching stuff that came to mind, and catching up on a few films that I hadn't seen for quite a while. So I burned through the Neil Blomkamp films again.
Nice.
So I did District 9, Elysium, and Chappie. Burned through those. That was great. Burned through The Creator. And the reason why is that I reminded myself the last time that I'd spoken to Catherine on a podcast was New Year's Eve, sorry, of last year, where Chris and I talked to her about our love of The Creator, which of course was directed by Gareth Edwards. And it got me in the mood for watching it, so I ended up watching that. Lucy had her fix during the week in that, she likes a good monster movie. So we ended up going down the rabbit hole of Pacific Rim 1 and 2.
Nice.
Which they're very good. One in particular, the Guillermo del Toro film is just so full of cheese. It's fantastic.
Oh,
that was that. So we saw that. A film I'd never seen before. 2 films I'd never seen before. Monster Hunter. Have you seen Monster Hunter?
I think I have. I think it was like in the background when I was doing something though.
Yeah, Monster Hunter. I think it's Mila Jovovich, isn't it? That Monster Hunter is it's is it her husband? I think it's her husband. Hang on a second. I'm sure it's her husband. W.S. Anderson. What's his name?
Paul
Anderson. That's it. Yeah. So 2020 film. Paul W.S. Anderson. Of course, she's going to star because that's his missus. And it's okay. It's okay. It's not the best film in the world. I mean, the best part of it is that our buddy Ron Perlman makes a cameo about, I don't know, as the leader of the people of another planet. About 4/5 of the way through the movie, so almost towards the end, up comes Ron Perlman, playing classic Ron Perlman. So that was good.
Playing Ron Perlman. Yeah.
Exactly. So that was good fun. And then lastly, last night I watched. I don't know if you've ever seen A Quiet Place.
Yeah.
1 and 2. So So I mean, this is was it Emily Blunt and her husband? Her husband is the creator. I've forgotten his name. Come on,
John Krasinski.
That's the one. Straight out of The Office. That's the dude. It's his baby, and they were in 1 and 2. Really, I liked those films. I like those films. They're kind of they're not big blockbuster sci-fi, but I like the premise. It's very, very simple. Anyway, A Quiet Place Day 1, so it's a prequel is now available. I think it was on Netflix. I saw it. Either way, it will be on Prime, one or the other. I saw that last night, and that was a really, really good film. Really, really good film.
That's the one with the cat, right?
Yeah, that's right. Have you seen it then?
Yes, yeah. I always laugh because whenever I think about that film, I'm like, dude, my movie would have been 5 minutes long
Yeah.
if it's like they won't shut up. I'm like, I'm dead. Boop, up, dead.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I enjoyed that. And then today, I have started watching on my wish list, or on my list of things that I need to watch, of which it's extensive and growing daily. In fact, every time I talk to you, I seem to add a new one on. There is I've started watching a series called Three Body Problem.
Mm,
And the reason
that's on
why
my list.
the reason why I'm watching it is because I like Benedict Wong for a start, and he plays one of the protagonists in the story, and I've made my way through the first couple of episodes, and so far it's so good.
I might have to catch up with you on that because that's on my list as well. I mean, I need to.
Yeah, it's quite intelligent at the moment. It seems to be quite intelligent the way that it's. I like that about it. It seems to be. It's on. Yeah, it's on Netflix, but it seems to be of the caliber of something that I'd expect on Apple TV. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's quite smart. It's and again, I don't know where it's going at the moment, but certainly the first two episodes have me intrigued. It's piqued my curiosity. So I'm gonna keep going with that at the moment. And yeah, tell me what you think, man. I mean, watch the first couple and let me know. Because maybe it's something we could talk about.
For sure. Yeah, because I know that's one that everybody was talking about for a while, and it seems to be one of those shows that needs to have a lot of YouTube videos explaining it. So it's like, ooh, I think that's kind of right up my alley of like maybe a little bit meatier than King of the Hill and other things.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's been a busy couple of weeks. Consuming. That's the place I'm finding myself in at the moment. So hell, I might as well make it work for myself.
I did forget. I have been playing a lot of Mario Kart on the Switch because it seemed a lot of the younger generation, like my cousin and my brother's kids, are all about that age where they're all playing Switch and stuff like that, and it's like, oh, can your Uncle Sean play? And I've been leaving them in the dust. I've been whooping on some kids. And it's like, oh, I haven't played Switch in a while. Mind if I hop in and play some Mario Kart 8? Just let me play one. Winner.
Good man.
Just not holding back. It's like, let's do higher CCs. Let's do.
You're teaching them a valuable lesson.
Yeah, and it's been fun. I've been enjoying it. They don't ask me to play as much now.
It's not fair. Uncle Sean doesn't let me win.
You're cheating. Oh, you're just cheating. It's like, I don't know what your problem is. So
that's it,
yeah, I've been doing a lot of that.
That's your first lesson in life, disappointment. There you go.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yep.
So excellent. So we have been busy. What I wanted to talk to you about, and again, the reason why I wanted to talk to you about is that I know you have, I know you'll be quite modest about this, but you kind of have more of an insight into how Disney parks works than most people I know, in that you used to work there. It's no secret. We talked about it before. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, and it kind of also aligns itself with conversations that you and I have had in recent weeks and months about, what does the future look like for Disney Plus? What does the future look like for Disney parks? What does the future look like for Star Wars? And basically, as part of the news, we found out recently that the Galactic Star Cruiser facilities are to be repurposed as offices. Ironically, I believe for the innovation team, who are actually responsible for kind of pulling all of that team. Is it called the innovation team or the
Imagineers?
The Imagineers team? I believe that it's going to become their offices. I mean, cool offices. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'd love to work there. You wouldn't see me for dust if I was offered a job there. But yeah, I just want to know your thoughts, man. I mean, because we Disney Park. How can I put it? Galaxy's Edge launched with a lot of razzmatazz. There's a lot of investment there. It's still very, very busy. It's still very, very popular. But what, in your mind, does the future look like for Disney parks, and in particular, does it not seem crazy to you that a facility that cost millions and millions and millions to create is being repurposed this way? I just want to know your thoughts, man.
So, first, I'll do a disclaimer. If I'm not an expert on a lot of things,
Sure.
There's the Disney parks, from my opinion, are a very interesting window into a much larger company and entertainment kind of thing. If you look at the history of Disney as a company, even going back into the 80s, Michael Eisner period, things like that, the parks have always been a very unique kind of magnifying glass into the mentality and the future kind of horizon for the company and their investments and how they're doing. It's very interesting because the stuff that goes on in the parks it takes so long to do, to do anything, that you about stuff way, way ahead of things. So where the investments are going. Disney's currently hoarding money, or they're spending. Like, it kind of goes in these kind of up and down swings of 9/11 happens and they halt all projects and things, and it goes into money hoarding mode. And then years later, they do a bunch of stuff. Right now, as like a higher level, I'll talk about that building specifically in a second. To be clear, I'm not like a Disney adult. I'm actually kind of anti-Disney parks because of the Disney adult stuff. I'll disclaimer that too. But right now, they are pumping a ton of money into the parks and parks development. There's some negative sides of that though too, with like the Disney Vacation Club and some kind of the premier things. But it's very to me, this whole thing was an experiment from the beginning, and the things that they do at the parks and the way the Imagineering stuff works with them, where Imagineering is not just a way to make cool rides in the park. It's also like the volume. It's a way for the company to make money, create patents, resell that stuff. And so I think this was probably one of the more expensive things that they've done, where it's an experiment into an alternative form of hotel stay, park experience for a premier level guest, things like that. I think they knew all along that it's not something that's going to be for the long run, because it doesn't have a lot of return value. But I think what they don't talk about is, I think there was a lot of R&D development for patents and things like that, with the lightsaber training and all the other kind of character-based. Can we do a live-in situation like a cruise where it's more immersive with characters, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Like, I think it's kind of the culmination of 8 different departments coming together and being like, hey, you guys if we kick in like all of our budgets a little bit, we could spend a lot of money and it will benefit all of us in the long run.
So it's what I call a skunk works.
Yeah, exactly. But they're not making like the B-2 bomber or the F-117. It's, to me, it's more of a collaboration between a lot of different groups. It's like the R&D, the legal side of things.
And as such, you think that they were prepared to write it off at some point?
I think they knew that there was going to be there was a deadline on paper.
Shelf life.
That's a part of the proposal. They're like, we do not think that it'd be fantastic if it did. But there is a shelf life, and then here is the cutoff date for when we're going to stop pumping money into this, for whether it's contracts through the actors and things like that. And I think it was a pie in the sky skunk works. I think that's why it didn't get a dedicated plot. Like, it's still within the parks. It's not like off as a hotel on its own. It's not big. It's not a 5,000 room cruise ship or whatever. It's small. It's very, very small, very, very tight. I think they got what they wanted out of it. Like, I don't think the people there see it. I'm sure there's some people who do. I think the people behind it don't see it as a failure, because I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that came from that is either that's been patented and they're reselling, or they're repurposing into other places, like the cruise ships, other hotel experiences, other immersive experiences, where it's kind of, because I mean, you've worked in business stuff long enough where it's like, it's not as simple as what everybody assumes. Hey, how do we get like live-in actors to do improv? Like, how can we source these people? Can we pay them? Can we, like, what do they cost? Like, how long do people stay in those kinds of positions when they're doing this stuff day in and day out, putting this makeup on constantly? Like, no one's really done a lot of this stuff before. So it's more of an experiment into how far can we take immersive living? How far can we take the show and blend it outside the boundaries of the park and into the hotels? Not just Star Wars, but just the characters, or a lived-in real story experience. And I think this was, like I said a minute ago, it's like, I think this was 8 different departments and 8 different things coming together and being like, yeah, this solves all of our needs. It's going to cost a ton of money, but in Disney money, it's nothing. Like, there's like, and so the transition to an Imagineering building, that's probably the most interesting thing I think I've heard out of all of it. Because it's, one, the fact that they made an announcement, that's weird. Like, they make announcements about everything, but the fact that it got picked up by so much stuff, because they turn stuff into executive offices all the time. Like, that's just their way of, like, gutting it. They sell the resources, they'll take them out to the boneyard, then they auction all of it off, et cetera, et cetera. But the fact that they have a plan to turn this into Imagineering offices on property in a park so close to the Star Wars, like, land, that, to me, this is cocky duty speculating. That signals to me that it's not offices as in they rip everything down and it's much cubicles. It is a staging area, maybe a way of saying it. A way that they can do stuff close to the park,
like an experience center or something.
Or it's just it's a building that Imagineering can use to be working on stuff that is going to be going directly in that park, and do have a tire cycle instead of stuff that's off property. It's where you would stage new experiences, but then bring them out into the park. Like, you could do that tighter iteration and tighter looping. For like, we're going to try out a new character. We're going to try out some new digital experience, like those robots, like the little Huey, Dewey, and Louie bots. Like, they need somewhere to do that. Like, that's, and so you could set that up as an Imagineering facility to do maintenance and servicing, have your satellite crew there instead of putting them in a truck and doing it offsite or remotely. So that's what that screams to me. It's like,
I love that, man.
And
I love that concept.
because
You,
if they
you've
were if they're
completely, you've completely 180'd me on this.
because if they were just turning it into like like that one, Disney's not going to make a bunch of executive level offices or like financial offices and put it there. Like
Yeah.
that they have plenty of room for that elsewhere. That's not like the proximity. That's the thing. It's the proximity to and the access to the parks where it's like, oh, this is going to be there was at the Magic Kingdom, there's a place called Central Shops. And this is in Florida. This is where they do all of the 3D printing, all of the fiberglass casting, all of the mechanical work, all of the maintenance on actual rides. Like, oh, we're going to redo the ride vehicles. Yeah, like there's like a big building. It's close to the parks, but it's not super. Like it's just on the outside, but like it's still kind of a pain
Gotcha.
to get in and get in there. Having something this close and this tight with Imagineering actually in there, like if it's actually going to be them, or like an Imagineering like offshoot or like related to them, like there's just no way that this is not going to be related to bringing Imagineering closer because of new experiences or whatever they're going to be doing in the parks. That's my take on this.
That's super positive, and I love positive. I love positive. It's what we're about. That's a lot more positive than the message that I perceived. So that's great. But B, it kind of also segues nicely into the question I had. How do you keep Galaxy's Edge vibrant? How do you keep it? Because, I have every intention to go one day.
Yeah.
Every intention to go one day. I have not been. I am hoping that, the next announcement, when you guys leave Tokyo, the announcement is that the next celebrations in Anaheim, for example. In which case I will go to hell and back to make it. But the point being is that how do you keep it relevant when what do they call it? The content, not the content, what do they call the entertainment? When the entertainment has changed significantly since the theme of Galaxy's Edge today. So Galaxy's Edge is very much focused on today, is very much focused on the sequel trilogy. How do you keep that vibrant and keep that going when, if you like, the entertainment has kind of switched to other time periods, other parts of the universe? I'm still on this. I'm still on this pirate shtick. It would be great to get to make more out of the Hondo and Ackler and dare I say Skeleton Crew stuff, even though it seems to be prime for that kind of subject matter. But I'd love to know your thoughts as to how you think that, I've never experienced, I don't know how do you keep a ride going for 20 years, for example? How do you keep an experience going for so long without tweaking it to current?
They will. Current? So I'm going to assume that you have worked for a large company at some point in time in your life.
Yeah.
And that like something that normal people would say, oh, why don't they just do this? That actually means that there's probably like 500 people that are involved in that one seemingly innocuous thing. So it's like, so what's funny is like, I think there's a lot of people who assume Galaxy's Edge hasn't changed. Like it's still the same as when it opened or around that same time. And like when it opened, it was hell-bent on being a like deeply immersive experience. The cast members like had to speak the Goofy language. And it was like, we are dead set in the time period between like in the sequel trilogy. Like this is real. Like you would talk about the park, Like, you come to the tunnel, you talk about like, oh, we have reservations, and they looked at you, go like, reservations where, off-worlder? I don't understand what you're talking about. Like, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you're in like one of those places where it's like, oh, they pretend to be old-timey, and they're like a Ren Fair kind of thing, where it's like, oh, we don't know what no fancy computers, kind of that kind of thing. And they've definitely eased up on that, and it's also introducing Boba Fett and those kind of people. And
right.
there have been massive changes, and I'm hoping somebody puts a book out about it one day. Because I've read stories from like insiders and stuff, but I really hope somebody documents it, like one of my favorite books, Disney War, which is about the Michael Eisner period, and just like how
Is
the
that
internal.
is that the period where the shareholders rebel? Is that
Yes,
sorry,
that
where
it.
the board rebelled against the
Yes,
sky?
like, yeah,
Right.
yep. That's exactly it. It starts with the deaths in the beginning, and then Michael Eisner taking control. All the amazing stuff he did up
Mm.
to the overthrow uh by uh God, what's his name? Roy, not Roy, Roy's son, and all the shareholders, and like the hostile takeover and all that stuff. It's an amazing book. If you're into that kind of
Mm.
thing, and you're interested in the kind of the Disney history of all of it, and Michael Eisner, and just all of the weird stuff that comes with him. I'm hoping somebody does that with this, because I already know that there's Galaxy's Edge was like a risk as it was, and they wanted it to be more. Like, they wanted there
Right.
to be more rides, and that's why when you do visit, like, this isn't spoilers for anybody. Like, there's areas that are like, what? Like, what is this? Like, you just, like, if you stop and really look, you're like, why? Why would you build this? But then, like, you go into the history and stuff, it's like, oh, it was actually going to be all these other things. And so there has always been this kind of, because of budgetary reasons, et cetera, financial outlooks, then there's always been this kind of mentality towards like, it is constant improvement, continuous change, but it's like trying to steer a container ship.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, they've already started putting the groundwork in for, like, adapting okay, so pause, rewind like 2 seconds. The Rise of the Resistance uh ride, the big one, not the
Yeah.
Millennium
Yeah.
Falcon.
Yeah.
That thing is probably the source of a lot of the problems that people see with Galaxy's Edge. Like, that's
Right.
the reason why there hasn't been as much change yet, because that thing was an absolute money pit and continues to be one. Even though it's an amazing ride, it was a lot of new technology, a lot of stuff that didn't survive the like day-to-day use, like 30,000 people a day. Similar for fun Disney fact, similar to the Everest ride in Animal Kingdom, which is a big mountain coaster that you go around and you go up and then you stop. You're facing up on a broken track, and then you start, like, the track flips behind you,
Oh,
and then you go backward. Then you're going backwards, kind of back to the same thing, but then you go through something else. There's a giant Yeti in there that opened originally, and the
yeah.
thing is so damn big that they couldn't, like, and it's an animatronic, so it's like trying to swipe at you. It is so big and so powerful. If they let it run at its full pack, at its normal operating thing, it's ripping the mountain apart. Like, it's ripping the ride apart.
Wow.
So it's like, it's that kind of thing where it's like, they
Wow.
didn't know how strong this would be or whatever. Like, the engineering was a little bit off, similar to this stuff, like the Star Wars rides, where it's like, it's all great on paper until you realize that the giant guns that are shooting are like, oh, we can't have those moving all the time. It's causing it to break down. And so you're pumping money into that, and it's delaying other projects.
Right.
But you see the trend. You see the trend that it's like, okay, we do need to make it more generic. Like, the shine has worn off a little bit, that we don't need to be hell-bent and committed to having Rey and Kylo fighting like it's right now. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you didn't get a time capsule. So they are making those shifts. I know from what people say that some of the things they're working on are more trying to turn the Falcon ride into a more dynamic experience instead of that same thing.
Right.
And we're starting to see that with the Mando stuff being introduced. and kind of that variability of different storylines and things like that, while still getting massive numbers of people through.
It'll be less experiential, is what you're saying. It's going to be more.
No, it's more experiential, but it's like it's that same story. It's like, oh, we gotta go get the coaxium and do
Oh, I
that
see what you
same
mean. Yeah,
do that
yeah.
same thing. It's like, how do we get more? Kind of like Star Tours, where it's like, oh, this one we're going to Tatooine, this one we're
Just
going to Endor.
change the
Yeah,
locale.
how do you make it dynamic with? Okay, you have Hondo in the beginning who's kind of telling you what's going on. So like, can you split off of that, or do you need to have it be by like day or by like a time period or like by groups? And they're just kind of nailing down the engineering of that. Of like, oh, maybe this month we do Mando stuff and they're all the same loop in their Mando. Because I know the ideal goal is they would like it to be varied every time. But when you have pre-shows that are scripted of like, hi, I'm Hondo, this is my ship, Chewie's with you, we need the coaxium. And then you can't go in there and be like, just kidding, we're on Endor fighting Ewoks or something. Because Disney is like, they do put like the quality of their entertainment experience above everything else. And so things do move slower.
It's the biggest business, right? I mean, it's a bigger business than the entertainment itself. Have I got that right or wrong?
I'd have to look. It didn't used to be. I know like movies and content licensing is freaking massive. Like not Disney Plus. Like Disney Plus, they all built these stupid streaming services knowing they're going to be a money pit.
Yeah.
Like until the technology's there and it's all just basically free. But I think we're getting close to that. Because they're all buying up all the cloud infrastructure. And the processes are pretty slick. But like the parks are booming, especially at the moment where no matter how bad they say the economy and stuff is, everybody and their brothers tripping over themselves trying to go to these parks and do just all these experiences that are like, you look at the price tags on them, it's like, it's insane. Like I'm lucky enough, like, and I've always been lucky enough that like my dad served in the military, and so we'll always go with my mom. Like my mom will always go with us, and she gets her military discounts, and because of some of the stuff that like people probably look at a picture I've done and be like, well, what are you talking about? It's like, yeah, that was my mom was there, and we got 40% off, so that's the only reason we got to do it. But it's crazy. They do make a ton of money, and given the projects they have in motion, given the multiple land expansions, like that, I'm sure. So they're doing massive expansions on a lot of parks. They're doing revamp expansions in the existing U.S. parks. They're doing, like, I think in Japan, they just tore down Space Mountain and they're building a new one next to it. Like, they're doing insane amounts of money being dropped into these parks.
Because I believe there is a Galactic Age plan for Japan, right?
I get so confused about it because they announce it all close together, and I'm like, wait, what? I don't follow as tightly as I used to, but I'm not sure about Paris, but I thought I could be wrong. It could be like, I mean, it's easy for people to find that information too. Like it's a rabbit hole though, because they're constantly announcing this stuff at D23. But the point is, it's like, okay, all these projects are currently started in motion, or they just started, or they're getting ready to be started, and that is years of like work by thousands of people. And then now that's starting to clear up, because once the project gets going, that's a different group of people. And so now you're seeing teams spin off. You're seeing contract positions open up on the job sites of like spinning up for new projects, investigative things. It's like, I bet this is when we're going to start seeing kind of the big phase 2 projects ramping up. If they're not already, I bet they're not Blue Sky, like not the Social Network, but like, or Green. How about Greenfield? They're not Greenfield. They're already in motion, but now you're going to see them start ramping up with people and really start pushing these projects forward, because it's the projects that are currently in motion had to have taken forever and a ton of people to get moving, and now that's starting to open up. So that's a very long-winded way of saying I know they will. It's just a matter of when and what size are they going to continue to incremental, or are they currently working on designing like the next big wave of changes, filling it out, putting more characters, putting a parade through there, doing more interactive, immersive experiences, doing that moving tile floor. How can they bring that thing in?
Yeah.
Doing all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I know that. I know that's excited you for quite a while now. Listen, man, I love talking to you about this kind of stuff, and I know that it's not. Again, I know you do not profess to be an expert at all, but you know a stack load more than I do about this kind of stuff, and that insight I think is really really interesting. And like I said, it's it's positive at a time when the world economy look like shit at the moment, and you've got big corporations talking about making losses and letting people go, and certainly clawing back on the content. Those kind of messages for me are great, are absolutely great, because it certainly, when it comes down to Disney parks, I find the whole thing fascinating, absolutely fascinating. So that's cool, man. Thank you very much.
And I love the Disney parks. I love the people behind them, and this is why it was always my dream as a kid to be an Imagineer.
Yeah,
and because it's like no matter what, the shareholders want the line to go up. The executives are tasked with doing that, and that's where the news comes from. Like the news is coming from that. That's the primary slant on what the news is going to announce. They're going to talk about the greed and the things that are happening right now. Like what are the financials right this minute? But you have, I mean, when I worked there, the Florida location employed over 60,000 people. Like just for the parks. That's not even like executive level stuff like that. Just like everybody involved in that third shift, all crazy things. And it's like there's a lot of people who want this to work and believe in kind of the continued push for it. So it's like if you zoom out and say, yeah, the financials may be bad. There may be people who they're going to lay off contract positions. They're going to lay people off. Like, yeah, that stuff's unavoidable and it sucks. I'm not dismissing that, but there's still a lot of people who are there who want to make cool stuff and make magic. If you want to be cheesy about it, including content, including stuff in the parks. And it's like, until like, if they start saying they're going to lay off 80% of the Disney workforce, okay, I think we have bigger problems in the world going on if that's happening. But it's like, I'm not dismissing the plight of the individual, but I do believe that there's a lot of good people, and that's what's exciting. It's like, it's positive because if you step away from the news and kind of like look at some of the things that people are doing, it's like they want these projects to go through. They want to build cool, engaging experiences so kids can live that dream.
Yeah. I mean, I see the Imagineers in the same vein as the folks at ILM. I see these clever, innovative, forward-looking, dynamic, exciting people thinking of ways to push the boundaries and make things work. And I hold them in the same vein or the same respect that I'd hold someone like Phil Tippett, for example.
Yeah. But they're not making news about the things that Phil Tippett's doing. It's the bean counters, and that's where I wish more people could see that. And it's like, we don't got to focus on that. You could focus on like the fact that they built that cool Razor Crest and that camera rig because they wanted to. It's like, hell yeah, dude, more stuff like that. Don't do it for $4 million. Like, to be realistic, but like, keep doing it. That stuff's awesome.
Yeah. On that note, where's my behind the scenes, or where's my Star Wars gallery for Skeleton Crew? Because Mr. Tippett and his crew were quite prominent, I understand, in the creature effects. Anyway, sorry, I'm going off tangent.
I bet you're getting it. I bet you will get it. I bet you will get it. What is it, February? I bet you could get it in March.
You reckon just before celebration?
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Just to buy some time.
That would be very, very cool indeed. Mate, I'm glad we left this discussion to the end because, like I said, ending on a high, ending with a little bit of positivity, ending on some insight that I never, ever, ever, ever knew is great and really, really interesting. Anything else, buddy, that's caught your attention this week, or have we missed anything?
Not that I can think of. If you're out there, watch Severance. If you want to know more about the Disney parks, let me know. I could tell you about the utilidors, which are the underground corridors underneath the Magic Kingdom. And I can also tell you what it's like to break into the old River Country water park when it was still closed and abandoned before they tore it down and built a bunch of condos. I can tell you about that. That's fun. Yeah, it's a good old time. Well, I should probably not talk about that stuff. My employed by the like my dream job's to be an Imagineer. By the way, you want to hear about breaking into places? Maybe I'll shoot for ILM model maker. Maybe I'll switch.
On that point, I've been watching an awful lot of Adam Savage. Adam Savage has been basically throwing out a whole bunch of content at the moment, pretty much on a daily basis, and I've been picking that up on. I've been at YouTube. I've gone down the YouTube rabbit hole the last week or so as well. But that's not important. Buddy, thank you so much for recording again with me this week. Thank you to everyone for listening to us. I hope you enjoyed us prattling on as we normally do. It's very much our shtick. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for listening. Sean, my friend, why don't you take us out?
I can do that, and I'm not going to butcher it like I did the intro. Once again, we really appreciate you spending your time with us. If you liked what you heard, make sure to subscribe and leave us a review. Don't forget to check out our website at justchillin.com for more awesome content and ways to connect. Yeah, you can get on our Instagram because Andy's going to send me that photo. I think I already have it. I think I could just grab it. Send me the photo of his sweater, and I'm going to post that up there because it is awesome. Like, I don't think we could do justice of how good that came out. And I'm just going to keep talking about it because I'm impressed. I'm incredibly impressed, and I think it's really cool. But yeah, man. Thank you, Andy. Thanks for hopping on. Thanks, Royce. Pushing me to do this. Not that I don't want to, but I'm not good with scheduling. And thanks to everybody for listening. I really appreciate it. I really do. And everybody who's reached out. And my pet this week is Willow, our good buddy Chris Hall's dog that likes to eat all the things he's supposed to.
Excellent. Bye, guys. Look after each other. Listen to your body. Stay safe. Stay happy. Stay beautiful. Bye.
Bye. Bye.